to join us so that we have quorum. But we'll be starting shortly for those of you in the room and online. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Connecticut 250th Commission, January 15th, 2025. Our chair, Denise Merrill, is unable to attend today, sends her regrets. Personal matters keep her from joining us. So we'll convene now. I want to remind everybody in front of you are microphones. Before you speak, can you just please press the button so that folks both in the room and online can hear? And then when you're done, please turn it off. Okay, so welcome. We have 535 days until July 4th, 2026, the anniversary of our nation. We've been working towards this moment, but really everything after that is what we're building towards and what matters in terms of our constituting of a nation. We are here today in the Legislative Office Building. I hope that we'll have some legislators join us. I know that some have mentioned they're hoping to swing by, but it's our opportunity to thank them for their participation in and supporting the work of the commission and of democracy and democratic processes, illuminating the civic processes and engagement. There's an example for all of us. As we begin this legislative session, this is our opportunity to share with them the work of the commission, and I hope that we'll be able to highlight for everybody here and online the very important work we've been doing. It may feel slow and particularly visible, but I assure you, the work continues and important grassroots initiative. Okay, with that, we have approval of minutes from the October 16th, 2024 meeting. I would like a motion to approve. Steve, a second.
Second.
Melvet, any discussion? I do want to mention with regard to those minutes, we had a conversation about the upcoming election at the time and the outcome of that election and how it might affect the work of the commission. I don't want to have an expansive conversation here, but just really mention that it is something we're talking about still with the inauguration, I believe a little over a week away, or within a week anyway. The work will certainly respond. Our work will respond to that, but in advance of any incoming administration initiatives, we're going to hold off on discussing any topics relating to that until the administration actually announces something publicly. So we'll just table that. I want to acknowledge it for now. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Lots of ayes. Can't see online at the moment. Any objections? Okay. Liz abstains. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. I will hand it off now to Cindy for national and regional updates.
Good morning, everyone. So we wanted to update folks on some of the national convenings that are taking place over the course of the next few months. So there is a virtual gathering online through the American Association for State and Local History on February 27th and 28th. Registration is open for that. It will be called 250Con and will give organizations and individuals around the country an opportunity to see what nationwide initiatives are taking place that they might want to join in on. There is also a Common Cause for All, which is the gathering of states in Williamsburg, Virginia from March 24th to 26th. And then finally, the National Commission America 250 is convening all of the state commissions in Washington, D.C. from July 28th to 30th. We have not gotten a lot of details on what that will look like yet, but should have more information at the end of the month when we are convened on January 29th. The National Commission has assured the American Association for State and Local History and state commissions that there will be no changes in their makeup with the coming change in administration. So Rosie Rios will continue to chair that commission, and the staff is expected to all stay on board. We will see what other updates they have on a national scale at the end of the month, and we'll keep everybody updated on that. The other national initiative that is taking place this year is Two Lights for Tomorrow. We touched on this briefly at our last meeting, but this is the opportunity on the anniversary of the Battle of Lexington and Concord to, on April 18th, in commemoration of Paul Revere's ride. They are asking state houses and organizations around the country to have two lights outside of their buildings. And then on Saturday, April 19th, it is an opportunity for a nationwide day of service. So more information will be going out about that as well, but wanted to remind everybody that that is coming up. Any questions?
Thanks, Cindy. On to funding update. As we are at the beginning of the legislative cycle, We, in humanities, along with our partners in the arts office, Liz and others, in the tourism office with Anthony, as well as our partners from the Connecticut Tourism Coalition and the Connecticut Arts Alliance, are bringing together a legislative ask for additional investment in arts, culture, and tourism. Embedded within that ask, which is our ask specifically is $5 million for Connecticut Humanities, $5 million for the Office of the Arts, and $12 million for the Office of Tourism. This will continue to advance our efforts in promoting cultural activities and tourism in Connecticut. Embedded within that ask is initiatives relating to the 250th. We'll get into some of the work we've already been doing on funding 250th based initiatives, but additional support and investment from the state will go towards that specifically. I will hand it off now to Scott Wands from our staff to provide an update on the recent Connecticut Humanities grants and awards for projects relating to the 250th.
Thank you, Jason. 250th related grants and applications are coming in at an increasingly higher volume as we approach the anniversary, in, as Jason said, just 18 months away. At this point, CTH continues to adjudicate these as a priority for our longstanding project grant lines. Want to give a couple of numbers and updates here. At our November deadline, we received 22 combined planning and implementation grants requesting over $567,000 in funding. That's about 4 times as much funding request as we had available. We were able to support 10 of these projects overall, and 6 of those projects relate to the 250th Commission's themes and priorities. Combined with funding 2 smaller quick grants at our last November deadline, CTH supported 8 total 250th grants for $120,000 in December. This brings the long-running total of CTH funding for 250th projects at this point to 29 projects, totaling $307,340. And in your packets, you can see descriptions and summaries of all of those. I just want to highlight 2 recently funded projects and then happy to answer any questions that you have. We funded a $20,000 planning grant to the Fairfield Museum. They're planning a whole host of 250th related activities, 3 exhibits, public programs, a symposium, really looking at what was our 250th declaration about, what is the enduring ideals and legacies of the declaration 250 years later. We also funded a $20,000 planning grant to Discovering Amistad to help them advance new interactive exhibits and educational experiences to really help promote and bring their floating classroom experience to the next level for the 250th. So again, a wide range of projects across our state, across different ways of reaching the public, and increasingly telling more new and diverse stories for the 250th. Happy to answer any questions that any of you have. Thank you very much. Steve.
The next quick grant deadline?
So we have 4 quick grant deadlines a year. The next one will be in February, and then after that in May. And May is also when our planning and implementation grants hit as well. Those happen twice a year, the 1st of May and then the 1st of November again. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. It's an extraordinarily efficient meeting so far. We'll continue with an annual report update from Cindy.
Great. And I will say that there is a link on the 250th website, both in your agendas and on the website itself, to all of the grants that have been funded by CTH that are geared towards the 250th. All righty. So, great. So the annual report, we are excited to be looking back at 2024 as a really hugely successful year. The report to the governor is due on January 31st of this year, and we have quite a bit to share. Looking back at the goals that we laid out last year at this time, We had uncover and share stories that represent all the people of Connecticut, past and present. And this year we have participated in 5 festivals and 2 parades around Connecticut. We have had some articles in both Connecticut Magazine and The Day about the 250th and the work that's being done. There have been 32 events submitted to the community events calendar, and these are all events taking place in municipalities all over the state. There have been general resources shared out with the public, but then also really specific ones for the local committees that have formed, the affiliates of the commission, and educators. And the Community and Organizational Engagement Committee has put together a guide to planning with inclusion, diversity, equity, and access in mind, which has been shared out with all the folks who are out there planning events for the 250th. We also had a goal to create a community-based structure that will be used for our commission's work moving forward through outreach to the councils of government, individual municipalities, through the Connecticut Conference of CCM, the Conference of Municipalities, the Conference of Small Towns. We have identified liaisons for 59 municipalities. We know that many more are very close to really getting their groups together to continue this work, and we'll be sharing those out as we move forward. We have been able to host convenings in Hartford, Bridgeport, Norwich, and Lebanon. Norwich and Lebanon have local committees that are well-formed and well on their way to putting together events for 25, 26, and onwards. Hartford and Bridgeport have lots of organizations who are interested in this work, and we're really looking for an opportunity to speak with one another, and our Bridgeport now does have a local liaison, and Hartford is also very close to finding one as well. The other large city in Connecticut, New Haven, should have their committee put together in the next couple of weeks. So we are excited with that progress. To work within these community-based structures, we have been hosting monthly Zoom calls with these local municipalities. Local municipalities have been sharing their projects with one another to get feedback and share ideas. We've been gathering ideas on resources that they need and working to develop or source those resources and share it out with them. And generally, we've received feedback that these have been really productive meetings that have helped them do their work and move these projects forward, with the understanding that as of right now, the commission is not able to provide funding to these local groups, but giving them ideas for where to find their own funding and projects that are low cost that can move this forward. Our last goal for the commission for this coming year has been to invite the public to engage with the themes of the 250th commission. We had the goal to identify historic sites, events, trails, buildings, and stories to create a tourism trail in the state. That has been tabled for this year. We've been working on other initiatives with the Office of Tourism, namely getting our events calendar onto their website so that then they are able to better use that. Planning is underway for an inclusive exhibition that will explore Connecticut's role in the Revolutionary War in partnership with the work that the Museum of Connecticut History, which is part of the Connecticut State Library, is doing for an exhibition. Andy, our state historian, is planning a satellite exhibition that can take place in smaller venues around the state that will bring together the many rich stories that contribute to the Revolutionary War narrative and the legacies of that narrative. So we are hopeful that by the end of the year, we will be able to fabricate this exhibition and distribute it and have it available for folks beginning in 2026. And then finally, in partnership with the Connecticut League of Museums and the Secretary of State, we've been able to share both museum and history resources and civic resources to help expand the capacity of organizations around the state to do this work. And there have been really great responses from work done at conferences and other gatherings over the last year. So at a glance, we have 79 America 250 affiliates. We have 59 local committees that have been formed, 32 events that have been hosted in Connecticut. With those 32 events, we've had over 1,500 people engaged in the work that the commission is doing. In 2024 alone, over $200,000 has been granted out via the Connecticut Humanities Fund that has gone towards 25 projects in the state. We've participated in 6 nationwide state commission convenings and have held 39 meetings and gatherings throughout Connecticut. And just to summarize some of the bigger progress we've made, over 2.3 million has been granted out through the Connecticut Humanities Fund and Good to Great. And we are beginning work with other grant makers to make the 250th a funding priority. So working on conversations with others to grant out more funds statewide. There's been participation in 10 festivals and convenings here in the state. And in terms of the fundraising progress, we've raised over $11,000 from 5 private donors, $135,000 from 2 private foundations, and over $8,000 at the Pentatonics fundraiser that we held at Mohegan Sun in the fall. And that is all in addition to the $300,000 in state funds that have come through. In thinking about our goals and plans for 2025 and looking ahead to what we are going to be able to accomplish this coming year, we think that the goals that were laid out last year continue to be really the goals that the commission is striving for that will get us towards that mission and vision and guiding values that we talked about back in 2022 and 2023, which seems like a very long time ago. So we are looking to expand the affiliate program this year with really intentional outreach to the organizations that have not self-nominated themselves over the last 6 months, and we'll have more conversation about that today. We'll be hosting a second America 250 conference, and that will be taking place on Friday, March 21st. The call for proposals is due today. So if anybody has any last minute proposals, please do submit those. And we'll be putting together the program for that event by the end of this month and sharing it out with folks. We are building packets for educators of grades 3, 5, 8, and high school, and specifically social studies educators, though we hope that those packets will be used by other disciplines to share primary sources and curriculum materials that can be used in the classroom. We will be hosting a strategic event planning workshop based on the work of the American Association for State and Local History. So how to use their field guide, how to use their programming handbook, and really leverage the assets that organizations have to host really meaningful and powerful events, programs, and initiatives in the state. And then continuing to share resources with strategic partners and others in the state. To continue the work to identify the 250th liaisons in each town, we're doing direct outreach at this point to any of the towns that we don't have folks on board for. We will also be at the Council of Small Towns Conference at the end of this month. So that is January 29th, and we'll be tabling there to connect with people and looking for other opportunities like that as we move forward. We are continuing to identify groups that would benefit from convenings like the ones that we've done in Hartford and Bridgeport. So one of the upcoming ones that we are hoping to host is one for youth serving organizations and another for organizations in New Haven. And then continuing to host sessions to share the planning guide and encourage brainstorming. So that includes these local committee meetings that we're having monthly, quarterly affiliate calls, and updating the resources that we've already distributed with more up-to-date information from the work that we've been doing in the last year. And then finally, to continue to engage the general public, we'll be tying into the planning for the statewide exhibition and working with the Office of Tourism to create that trail of places around Connecticut that people can go to experience the 250th in their own communities and really get out and travel different places. We are, as I said earlier, finalizing the plan and hoping to begin fabrication this year to distribute those statewide panels in 2026 and continuing our work with the Connecticut League of Museums and the Secretary of the State. So this is just a quick summary of kind of all of these different plans. I will say that one of the other partnerships that we're working on is looking who a good partner will be for public service and volunteerism. And we are hoping to have information to share at the very least at the next commission meeting, but most likely earlier than that about a potential partnership. And we are really starting to think about the actual planning for signature events leading up to July 4th, 2026. And that might also be a theme for our upcoming meetings as we get closer to that. So we have our subcommittee work plans. The chairs of all of our subcommittees have gone through and really thought about what this upcoming year will look like for our subcommittees. The engagement subcommittee will be continuing to think about how we promote an expansive vision for America 250 CT, which includes that broad, diverse array of Connecticut residents. Thinking about how we're engaging underrepresented groups and encouraging collaborative, inclusive, and well-informed community-based activities in partnership with those local committees and affiliates that we're bringing on. Education, we are looking to encourage analysis and critical thinking from multiple perspectives, and that is really at the heart of those education packets that we'll be sharing out with folks. And also thinking about how we can better engage with families through schools. And then finally identifying opportunities for students to participate in the 250th and the work that's being done locally. Governance will be looking to grow and diversify the affiliate program. We will again do the demographic survey in cooperation with the Office of the Secretary of the State and develop our next annual report. And then marketing and tourism, looking to encourage and inspire the tourism industry, revamp the commission website, and advise on the state of Connecticut marketing plan for these activities. And so all of you in your packets have the current version of the annual report to the governor. If you have any feedback based on what is there, we ask that you provide any feedback to Rachel and I by this Friday, January 17th. We will incorporate those comments and any questions, concerns, etc., into the final report for the governor, which will be sent over next week. We will also be delivering this report to all legislators by the end of the month with these snazzy Star-Spangled Sea pins that all of you have at your desks and some other materials that the commission has developed, along with a list of grants that have been granted out by town on behalf of the 250th and any affiliates that have come on board in their districts. We'll also be distributing these reports to funders, other stakeholders such as our affiliates and local committees, and getting them out to the general public over the course of February. So if there is anybody missing in this list, please let us know. Again, any feedback, happy to answer any questions or invite any conversation now while we're all here together, but we're also available via email.
I just want to say very quickly, this is an impressive array of things going on, and I want to express my gratitude to Connecticut Humanities staff, Cindy, Rachel, Scott, and team for the heavy lifting they've been doing. Um, it's Herculean in some ways, but I also want to thank the partners around the table and across the state that have been participating actively in the work that we're doing. It's been really important to have that those conversations, that stewardship, and that alliance to get this work done. We couldn't do it by ourselves. So thanks to all of you. Stephanie.
Thank you. I ditto those kudos. Seeing it all written out, I remember the first meeting, so a lot has gotten done. And I'm just curious how we can be helpful. Many of us, I think it's already amazing that 59 municipalities have identified a liaison. And I know all of us speak with people across the state. I saw some legislators here as well. Have you noticed, is there a trend with the type of office or who in the municipality typically serves in this role to help us maybe identify and coerce some other communities to participate?
It is varied, which is good. It's what we wanted to see. There are some historical societies who are leading it up. Some folks in economic development offices. It also depends on whether it is I'm not quite sure, an actual commission of the town government, because then oftentimes it has to be somebody who lives in the town, which might be different from the folks who are doing the work in the town. We have at least a couple of folks in like the arts community heading up some of the bigger arts organizations in towns. Special events people in municipalities are leading this up. Yeah, it is very varied. And we do also have representatives of libraries, schools, and I'll say at least West Hartford, it is a superintendent and a principal that are heading up their town commission. So unfortunately, it's not a quick and easy answer, but it's as varied as the towns themselves, which is great.
As you said, that diversity is great. So that basically means I can ask anybody. So thank you.
And I'll say I have the map up on the screen behind us, well, us anyway, in front of you all. So these are the municipalities that we have on board right now. There might be some missing. So if you know of any that aren't on here, please let us know. And like I said, I do know that there are some that are so close to getting back to us with an actual name so that we can turn this little map red as we move forward.
And I would just further encourage anybody in the room or viewing online to reach out to your local leaders and encourage them if you don't have a committee or commission in your town to start that conversation and ask folks to reach out to the commission staff at Connecticut Humanities to get that conversation started. Other comments, thoughts? Are there any comments online? No? Okay. For folks who, Sylvester, can we wait until the public? Thank you. We are going to move on now to subcommittee updates, and if I could ask Ariane and Rachel for an update on the governance subcommittee, please.
Sure. So as Cindy said, we now have 79 affiliates approved. Our subcommittee has increased the frequency of meetings so that we can review those applications in a timely manner. So thank you to everyone on the subcommittee for doing that. It's very important. The applications have kind of tapered off a bit, had tapered off a bit toward the end of the year, but we expect that they will resume frequency now that we're kind of past the holidays and much closer to the 250th itself. I think that overall, we've seen that the vast majority of the applications that have come through were pretty easy to approve, no huge red flags. There were a few applications where, we kind of needed a bit of back and forth, and Rachel and Cindy went back to the groups to get some more information before we were able to approve. We've so far had just one decline that we made at our last meeting, where we just didn't feel like the group's work really tied to the 250th, plus the group was not based in Connecticut. So we just felt that it didn't really make sense. But we did go back, or Rachel and Cindy are going back to them to request that the groups that they are working with in Connecticut apply if they haven't already. So the list itself is online of all the groups that have been approved. And I believe it's also in the packets in front of you. I know that now what we'd like to do is look at kind of take a look at that list and see where there may be gaps. And that might be geographically speaking, it might be different communities that we find are not represented. It might be the types of organizations. So I think that, Rachel, we want to take a bit of time right now to do that.
Yeah, and I can talk for another minute or two to give everybody time to look over the list to make sure that you can see who's missing and who's not. So just some additional information. The types of organizations that you'll see on that list, they are really varied, but they're kind of heavily skewing into a couple of different buckets, like historical societies and history museums are a big percentage of those groups, which is probably obvious. But we also have a good number of town committees, art museums. There's a few libraries sprinkled in there, arts and cultural centers, which was nice to see them starting to get involved as well, because that's been a goal of the commission. A few civics groups and education groups are in there as well, and then a couple of marketing firms. So mostly nonprofits and governmental, but a couple of for-profit groups in there as well. So that full list you have in front of you, and it's also up on ct250.org for folks that are at home. Cindy touched on the quarterly meetings that we're planning with these groups. We had our first one last week. About half of our approved affiliates did log into that one, so we had a pretty good group. And it was a lot of kind of everybody getting to know each other. So the hope for those quarterly meetings is that we'll be connecting affiliate organizations with each other and also with us. So CTH staff, any commissioners that want to attend and think they can be helpful, we welcome that as well. The next one will be in April, and we'll make sure to share that date in advance of it. So we're hoping that we'll be able to connect with these groups, get them planning. We know that the bulk of commemorative planning or events and exhibits and programs is going to be put on by organizations around the state, not necessarily by the commission itself. So we want to have an opportunity to give them as much support and training and help as we possibly can. So we are planning on a workshop in February, February 19th, I think is the date. We're adapting a training that AASLH shared with us for their programming handbook. All affiliates have a copy of that. We've been mailing them out as they've been approved, and it's available online. So really anybody can access it. But we're adapting a workshop that AASLH put out, and we'll be sharing that with our affiliate organizations to help them do some strategic planning around the 250th events that they put on, or programs, whatever. And then also we'll be using it as a place to connect for volunteerism, particularly on that National Day of Service in April. So we are continuing to do outreach to solicit more affiliate applications. A lot of our outreach, though, comes from people who have raised their hand and said that they're already interested in us. So we're kind of reaching the end, I think, of that list of people. It's going out through our mailing lists and social media and CTH grantees and things like that. But those are the people that already know who we are. They're already interested in us. And now we need to kind of expand out beyond that. So we're looking to try to find other organizations that are missing on that list that you have in front of you. And hopefully we're looking to diversify the organizations even more. We know that the commission wants to have this commemoration be really inclusive and make a place for all of Connecticut's residents in it, and have everybody be able to see themselves in the commemoration. And in order to do that, we have to be working with the organizations that they're a part of and they feel affiliated to themselves. So we're looking for gaps. And I'm hoping that we can find some of those and figure out how to get connected with them. So I'm gonna stop talking, open it up to questions, and anybody, if you have ideas, please share.
Rachel, I'm just wondering, so I'm looking around because I see people I recognize in the room and I know that they're not on the affiliate list, right? And no names will be mentioned, but I'm just wondering if it's sort of an issue of, I hear the word 250th affiliate, but I don't know what the heck that means. And so probably I'll deal with that later, or it's not for me. And maybe there's a way to really even do a press release or something that just talks about becoming a Connecticut 250th affiliate. You know, some of us have ways of distributing that. I'm just thinking that maybe people really don't know what that means.
Yeah, I think we did one when we first launched the program, but it might have gotten lost. And I think there's definitely opportunities to continue that, and maybe explain a little bit more what it's all about now that we're building it out and have a better idea of what we're actually doing with this group.
Agree.
Another follow-up on that, actually, an idea is maybe reach out. I can connect you, but other people can too, to like, what's his name? Kevin McGilray at Fox 61, the good news guy at Fox 61. We have, a lot of us have these relationships because these are the kinds of stories that I think they might actually be interested in picking up. And it's sort of like, is this for you, right? You can become, why would I want to do this? But if you're this, and this, then here's the thing that you could do, right? So that might be another idea.
I'm wondering if an easy ask might be to ask the affiliates who are already in the program if they have others that they can identify, if they can help to promote, and it might even spark some ideas of collaborations between them.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't mention is we are doing monthly email blasts out to affiliates. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to get in touch with them. So that's something we can certainly include in that as well.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Question, what exactly are we asking of the affiliates? What would be their commitment?
It's not a big commitment. It's really not much of a commitment at all. It's a commitment to when they're planning events or programs or whatever around the 250th, We want them to be engaging with the commission's themes and trying to plan those programming with that in mind. So making sure they're being inclusive and doing good history and doing things that are for the common good and kind of highlighting their local area. So Power of Place. So that's really it. We're not requiring them to do anything in terms of number of events or anything like that. We're really just hoping that they will amplify our themes.
And I'll add to that. I think the other part is asking them to submit their events when they do plan them, so that we can promote them and then hopefully join us at least occasionally on some of these calls with their colleagues who are also doing work. So it's a networking opportunity. It's an opportunity for a little extra marketing and branding. And I do think eventually we will be asking them to give us some details on how many people are participating in their programs, like guesstimates, just so that next year when we're doing this report out, we have a little more data to share in terms of what's happening out in communities. But we are looking to make this a really light lift and really just better market, promote, and track what's happening around the state.
Just looking at the list, I'm wondering if we'd be interested in reaching out to the restaurant industry. They might be doing fun menus or specials around this. I don't know if we're also looking to get religious institutions involved. I'm only seeing one on the list right now. And then maybe our state hero and state heroine, Nathan Hale Homestead and the Prudence Crandall Museum.
So I already sent a text to my museums while we were sitting here. So Prudence Crandall, thumbs up. But just this is a goofy thing. And so I just went on the website on my phone. And if you go on the affiliate page, oh, wait, no, it looks good. Sorry. It was it was showing up really weird. And then it just reloaded, I guess. So there you go. No issues.
I'm curious if any outreach has been done to the chambers of commerce to maybe get the business communities involved a little bit. I think that could be another way. I mean, they're constantly communicating with their members, so.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I was wondering about service organizations, including sororities and fraternities in the state.
Do you know where we can find that information? Because that's one of the categories that we have thought about, but are not quite sure how to reach those people. Yeah. Melvet, Mike.
I'm sorry, and I'm also thinking like Rotary, Lions Clubs, things like that, other larger service organizations.
Is the goal of the affiliates, do you want people who are going to be directly involved in planning 250 activities, or that's not a requirement to be an affiliate? I mean, if you're looking for a broader group, or is it people that will specifically be involved in planning stuff?
I don't think there's any obligation, Steve, for that. I think this is an awareness campaign as much as anything else. And I would add VFWs to this list.
Yeah. And just to expand on that a little, I think it's an awareness campaign and less about planning new events, but more about promoting events that are already planned that are aligned with the 4 themes.
It's really helpful. We have our work ahead of us. Ariane, you're good with the report out? Okay, we can move on to Education Subcommittee with Steve Armstrong, and I believe Mike Kamizis from our staff is online as well to share.
Yeah, 4 things to share. As Cindy already mentioned, we're in the process of creating a set of resources and curriculum materials that can be given out to educators. And Cindy mentioned the grades, and just so you know why those grades are chosen, she mentioned grades 3, 5, 8 in high school. Is grade 3, if you're following the Connecticut standards, social studies standards, you're studying the history of Connecticut. So there's a place. If you're studying grade 5, 3, 5, 8 in high school in U.S. history, grade 5 is history chronologically up to the Revolutionary War. Grade 8 is the Revolutionary War to the 1880s, and high school is beyond. So that's why those grades are chosen. And of course, civics is included in high school as well. What we'd like to do, we have a small committee of teachers that are right now. CT Humanities staff has been invaluable in creating these materials. We have one more small subcommittee today, and we'd like to present this to the larger education subcommittee at our January 26th meeting for review. So that's where we are with that project. Another project that we will be making efforts to get students, high school and middle school students probably, involved with local 250 commissions next year. If we want to say that we want students to use the social studies framework standards, taking informed action, we think this is a great way to do it. To get students, in some cases, service credit, in some cases, as part of civics classes, involved with the local commissions. But what we have to do to prep that, we have to find a way, and we're still working on that. How do we get the local commissions to know, A, what to do with the kids when they get there, and B, how to make that connection? So we're still working on that process. We decided to wait to actually physically do this until the fall of 2025 and have this done in the 25-26 school year. We were going to try to get it started this spring, but then we realized that some students that would be involved that are seniors, that won't be involved or around in the fall. And we thought that would create, if you had some great kid, oh, I'm gone in 2 months or something. So we decided that we didn't think that would be efficient. So we're going to suggest that this program begin this upcoming fall. So it would run through the fall of 25 to 26. We're looking for ways, and quite frankly, we're a bit stymied on ways to get other youth serving organizations involved in this. You know, I think we're doing a decent job with schools, but there's many other organizations that deal with students that could potentially be partners in this effort. So we're working on that again to find ways to get those groups involved. And then the fourth thing is, is that I've been in discussions with the major organization of not Civil War, but Revolutionary War reenactors that are in Connecticut. And this organization wants to do something with schools. Perhaps this commission could use that organization in a wider context, but we're in initial conversations with Revolutionary War reenactors who want to be involved, I think especially with students. So those are the four things sort of that the education sub. So our next task is, when the group comes together on January 26th, to be able to provide them with what we've come up so far with a packet for educators, and have the group review that packet. Another thing, there's a subcommittee that's been working, I don't know with what success, on how to get universities involved in this. And that's a question that we're still investigating.
Deborah.
I think to Steve's point about how do we engage with youth serving groups, hopefully as we're connecting with other affiliates. I know, for example, Rotary has the Rotaract program, which is specifically for students and often is in a school. So hopefully as we're building up our affiliates, we'll be able to work in that area too. And maybe that is a particular point that we want to emphasize as we're reaching out to affiliates.
Mike, do you have anything to contribute?
Hi, everyone. Mike Mises, Director of Digital Humanities. Steve gave a really thorough update, which was great. I just want to give a shout out to Misa Giroux, who is our newest employee at Connecticut Humanities, who's our digital humanities education manager, who's really taken this idea of the packet and really worked well with Steve and Tony Roy and Allison Nori as well in that small group from the subcommittee. It's looking really good, and I'm excited that we'll be able to share things with the larger group coming up in the spring.
Thanks, Mike.
I have one more idea. And just so many kids in high school are involved in high school athletes, and I just couldn't remember what the name of it was called, but it's the CIAC, the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference. And those coaches and people involved in that, like, they are really thinking about the whole athlete, the whole person. So they may be a really interesting resource to talk to get to high school students.
Thanks, Liz. When I think of student groups, I often think about Students for Educational Justice out of New Haven. So that might be a group to connect with. We will hand it off to Cindy for updates on community and organizational engagement, as well as marketing and tourism.
Amris is out of town, and so I will be sharing a bit on her behalf. So we shared the map earlier, but really thinking this subcommittee will be taking the lead in terms of outreach to local organizations as we move forward and really helping us make progress on these folks. So there will be a lot of outreach done in February around that. And then really thinking deeply about what those sources are that organizations around the state still need as they're getting ready for planning, and helping us fill some of the gaps that we've been talking about in terms of affiliates and other groups. So I am sure there will be many updates at our next meeting in April. And I'll just, does anybody have any questions about community and organizational engagement? So I'll move into marketing and tourism. Rob Krett is online with us. However, the subcommittee itself has not been largely involved in a lot of the work that has been taking place. Connecticut Humanities staff, in partnership with the Office of Tourism, has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to get the Connecticut Visit website ready to take the 250th events that have been shared with us. We've been working on getting access to the back end of that calendar to do approvals with the kind of outline that the commission set forth back. I think that was in July now. It seems like a very long time ago. So we'll be using the outline for commission events that was set there and be doing our own approvals kind of separate from the CT Visit staff. So getting that infrastructure in place has taken a little bit of time, but we are excited for that. Anthony wanted to be here today to share some of the information himself, but was unable to attend. So we are the America 250 section of that website is built, and so we will be plugging in content in the near future and getting that to go live. We will be able to tag events specifically as America 250, so viewers to the website will be able to segment by this interest, and America 250 will become a feature in the navigation bar, and will also be a priority for promotion and events through their typical social media promotions as we move forward. So this partnership has been really great. It is really important to kind of the success of this general public outward facing success of some of the work that the commission is doing. I know affiliates are very excited at the idea of being able to promote their events in this way. So we hope to have a shiny new portion of the website ready to go by the time we meet again in April, and we'll be looking forward to sharing that. And actually, kind of along those lines, we have also been working with the graphic designer at the state of Connecticut on you might have seen it on the background of that PowerPoint I had earlier. So some branding to kind of spice up the America 250 brand and kind of give us a little bit of a different visual identity. So I wanted to share this with everybody while we're all here together. We have this mock-up of the dark version. The mock-up of this lighter version. And in the background, what you see are icons that represent significant portions of Connecticut history over the years. This a collage style logo that we can use in some scenarios. We are not changing the logo. We will still be using the America 250 Connecticut logo in the vast majority of situations, but in places where really the logo is all we're sharing out with folks, this gives us a little bit more of an identity and a little more excitement for that. And these are some of the icons that are identified in the background and within the 250 collage. So really thinking about some of the state mammal, the state bird, state flower, some of the buildings that are important to our Revolutionary War history and kind of the building of Connecticut over the last 250 years. So we're excited to share this with you all. We're excited to feature this and look forward to kind of using this when applicable. But that has been underway as well. Any questions from folks?
I think just a public shout out to Joe Cunningham from Deep for his work on this graphic.
Cindy, could I go just back to the town commissions? And I'll just for 1 second, I apologize for going out of order, but if someone from a town, say a historical society, says, hey, you know what, we've been entrusted in town X with doing that, getting that celebration off the ground, and we could use some help. Are you or whoever in a position to, you have time to help them?
Yeah, if they reach out to info@ct250.org, Rachel and I share that mailbox, and we have been responding to those types of inquiries and are happy to speak with folks and kind of guide them, share what other people are doing. What I will say is that in those situations, we do typically just triple check with the municipality itself that they are okay with us taking that person as the head of their municipal committee. And we haven't had any cases where the municipality is like, no, absolutely not. So generally it's been fine, but we have kind of been going through that check system. So send them our way.
Megan.
Hi, sorry. I'm also going to backtrack a little just before I lose the thought on the education for activating college students. I know that Phi Alpha Theta, in addition to some of the sororities, Phi Alpha Theta is a National History Honor Society. I was in it at Southern, it's service-based. And for their Connecticut chapters, they're almost in every public and private university. So that would be a really good way to contact that epicenter and have a huge outreach ripple effect. So I just wanted to plug in that idea. And also, I love the graphics. When we did the Asian American curriculum, we also did a coloring book kind of with those same type of graphics. Don't know for those grades that Steve mentioned, especially third grade, a really good way to have a little booklet maybe in the resource packet for educators as part of the unit to get kids thinking about some of the Connecticut themes and icons and symbols. But appreciate the meeting and thank you.
Thanks. Other comments?
Thank you for that suggestion about the honor society. That's a great, because that's a group of the willing. So
Yeah, and I have the contacts for each chapter, so I can send that to whoever would be best to. I'll send it to Cindy. Yeah, I can send it to you.
Great. I'd like to just finally thank Majority Leader Rojas and his staff for helping us organize the use of this room, as well as the legislators who were here earlier. Jen Leeper, Chair of the Education Committee, Representative Kevin Brown, who chairs the Civics Task Force along with Steve, and I saw some other people, but just want to thank them for their support. Okay, I think we can turn this over now to public comment. Should just be a button right under the mic there, Sylvester, and speak into the microphone so folks online can hear. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm the public here, Mr. Public. Sylvester Salcido from Orange. I just wanted to wish everybody a happy new year and also to, once again, as the member of public here, just to thank everybody involved with the commission and all the work that you do. But I'd like to share a little bit of an update from my own hometown of Orange. And what I've discovered over the last 3 months is that apparently there's some local squabblings amongst the different groups in Orange, but everyone is in agreement that we should do something. So I believe Cindy will be hearing from somebody from our town soon enough. The one thing I gathered is that everybody seems to be a little bit exhausted because Orange just had a major bicentennial event just in the past year. So I think everybody's a little bit exhausted, but with the new year, I believe we'll be all rejuvenated and excited about planning for America's 250th birthday. A couple of things I just wanted to just jump up and share is, of course, as a veteran, I didn't hear veterans being mentioned in the discussion, so I just wanted to share that in the discussion that, of course, statewide, we have any number of veterans groups who I believe we can turn to and get them excited about the fact that there is this group that's planning for the nation's birthday in 2 Julys from now, or in 2 Julys. And finally, the one idea I wanted to also share is I have been working on this Filipino-American War Memorial right here across the street at the statewide Veterans Memorial with some of the legislators in this building. But related to that, I'm also trying to do some work, outreach to their counterparts in the Philippines. And one of the things that I want to just share with you before I head there next month is that I'm trying to get some local Filipinos excited about joining us in this celebration. So I just wanted to share that briefly. And that's it. And we'll see you in a couple of months. Thank you so much.
Sylvester, thank you. We did mention VFW post for veterans. Are there other veterans groups you would suggest we reach out to? Terrific. Thank you. Lee.
Okay, get my microphone down low. So today I'm going to put on my DAR hat, Daughters of the American Revolution, and we were talking about affiliates. Now Connecticut DAR is an affiliate, but I've been getting the word out, and so far there are 4 DAR members who are the liaisons for their municipalities. And there are many more members who sit on their municipality boards. So we'll continue to get that word out. We have 2,500 members from around the state, every town. And so hopefully some of them will continue to step up and serve their towns through the commission.
Wonderful. We'll look forward to it. Thank you. Any other folks from the public want to offer comment? No. Okay. Wonderful. Any final comments from the commission or online? Seeing and hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Deborah, second. John, adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. How's your work with how's your work on literacy?
It's a good question. I know we have a meeting with.
I'm sorry, I didn't, I apologize. What is it?
Picked up something wrong.
Oh,
It'll hopefully.
okay. Oh, no, I didn't
get
know.
better
I didn't.
Well, yeah.